Each lunar cycle, like I mentioned before, is uniquely flavored and charged by the astrological sign that it's in. We are pulled by the robust movements of the seasons and the effects of the solar cycles. And this is only a few things that we're being influenced by. This is some of the architecture around what we call the sacred calendar. Being aware of these ebbs and flows and how they personally impact you and your family and your kiddos gives a framework to align, harness, and engage in a uniquely potent way. Welcome to Season 2 of the Reframe, Where Fear is Brave. Switching gears a little bit from Season 1, we will be breathing magic, inspiration, ancient practices, and personal alchemy into every episode. I am Rebecca Molman, licensed trauma therapist, second-generation healer, guide, and midwife to the underworld of the soul. You will want to grab pen and paper to take notes on this episode. It is packed full of some powerful and juicy ways to work with the monthly lunar cycles. You can also download a 12-page handout with all of the key information covered in this episode. The link will be in the episode notes. There is a lot to cover, so grab that pen and paper. And without further ado, let's dive in. Working with the monthly lunar cycles is an important and powerful starting point for understanding the deep ebbs and flows that impact us on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. It is common knowledge that the moon influences the tides, with a full or supermoon impacting the tides to be exceptionally high or low. And if you think for a moment, how much of our physiology is made up of water, which ranges between 45 and 75%, you would naturally conclude that we are intimately impacted by these ebbs and flows in our own chemistry. And that is directly related to these movements and lunar cycles. There are other influences, of course. The monthly lunar cycle is a key player, however, and how we feel, how we engage, how we heal, and how we relate to ourselves and the world around us. While we are all impacted by these lunar cycles, the female biology is particularly sensitive and uniquely wired as a mirror of the woman's menstrual cycle. And of course, there are obviously variations to this and nuances, but for the most part, a woman's menstrual and hormonal cycle are intimately connected to the monthly lunar transitions. I am sure you have stood out on a dark and starry night to be awestruck by the beauty of the moon smiling back at you in the sky. Beyond the physiological impacts the moon has on us, there is an ancient spiritual connection that we all have to her as she journeys from darkness into full-bodied radiance and then back again into her dark introspection. It is a cycle of death and rebirth. It is potential becoming manifest. She is a midwife to the underworld where your subconscious plays. And then she lifts us up into full-bodied expression and radiance. So why is it important to understand these lunar monthly shifts? Well, as women, there is an obvious connection, like I mentioned before, with our biology and the monthly lunar transitions. And knowing how to work with not only our own hormonal monthly shifts, but how it is being impacted by the physiological, the emotional, and the spiritual pull of the moon will allow you to harness and work with the energies at play rather than be subject against them. And for men, these monthly cycles impact your mental, your physical, your emotional, and definitely your spiritual experiences. They are a swelling focus points or focal points transitioning throughout the month. And understanding and harnessing these energetic movements or pivot points will serve to deepen your own healing. It'll also catalyze and focus your particular goals and even suggest what you need to be putting on the back burner until it's more energetically aligned. And for children, children are naturally receptive to the energetic shifts we are constantly experiencing. They are more sensitive, and because of that, it is important that we as parents, grandparents, caretakers have a reference point on what they may be energetically experiencing so we can best support them and help them to integrate and process their growth and development. So, what is this lunar cycle, and how are we going to be able to work with the unique energies of each cycle? So, the moon transitions around the Earth at a rate of about 29 days. Starting at the new moon, it grows or waxes towards the full moon, and then it starts to reduce size or wane back towards the new moon, completing a full lunar cycle. And each month's moon's journey progresses through each of the 12 zodiac signs. It will stay in a zodiac sign for about 2 to 2.5 days. This is vitally important because each of the zodiac signs adds a unique and significant flavor to the expression through which the moon's energies are being expressed. For example, a full moon in Aries will feel very, very different than a full moon in Scorpio. And it will obviously have similar characteristics as every full moon. However, the specific focus and the way you will be working with that given moon or not working with it are directly impacted by the sign that it's in or that it's moving through. So I just want you to be aware that this podcast and the handout associated with it is a general outline on how to work with the lunar cycles, but each moon cycle is going to have its own unique expression and influence us with more texture and subtlety that we just don't have time to cover today. So let's start by looking at the new moon or dark moon. This is when the sky is dark with no sign of the moon. The energy of the new moon is the strongest on the day of the new moon, as well as the day before and the day after. This is a time when we are invited to go inside and connect with our intuition and our inner guidance. It is a time of rest and reflection. This is a time when you can align with the energies of that specific moon to set intentions, monthly healing and transformation journeys, as well as manifestations. We are planting seeds here fueled by intention and catalyzed when they are aligned with the energies already present. It is a time to sit with the darkness within you and the mystery that lies in the unknown crevices of your psyche and your soul. The veil is thinner at this time during the new moon. It is the perfect time to dive into the shadows of the subconscious, to do ancestral work or generational work, and access the wisdom encoded in your bone marrow and DNA. It is also a wonderful time for divination work, if this is in your practice. During the new or dark moon, because the veil is a little bit thinner, we have more access to energies that normally we may not. It's important to protect your space as well as your energy. This is also a potent time to surrender those things coming up that no longer serve you. Then sit in communion and in sacred space with those that walk with you, guide and protect you. Converse with the divine and sharpen the language of your intuition and co-create the seeds, healing, and intentions ready to be planted in accordance with the next moon cycle. I'd like to share with you a couple journaling and contemplation prompts that would be applicable during this new moon time. You can also find it in the handout that's linked below in the show notes. But the prompts are: what is being asked to be birthed, created, or transformed in the next lunar cycle? What inside of me is ready to let go that I just quite haven't yet? And here I want you to think of fears or doubts or insecurities, behaviors, attachments, and relationships. One way, sometimes these hide, and this is important. Sometimes these things that we're holding on to, they're very, very good at hiding because they don't want to get let go of. So, one way you can search for these is finding any areas in your body where you feel a constriction or a tension. When you think of something, if your body is constricting or tensing down around it, there's something there. And it may or may not be ready to be released at this time or at that time. It's important to at least take note of that and spend a little time around what you're constricting or holding on to. Another journal or contemplation prompt is: are there any specific allies needed during this process? Do I need to take any specific actions to make my dream goal or desire, the seed that I am planting during this new moon, happen? And this specifically might actually unfold in clarity over the next few days, but it's good to have mulling around in the back of your head. Sometimes those action steps come right away. Other times they take a few days to bubble up to the surface. And the last prompt is: how will myself and my lived experience be different when this healing, growth, or change is fully expressed? And it's important to get specific here, get textured with your answer. The clearer that you can identify what you want to accomplish or be at the end, once this is fully manifest and fully come into fruition in your life, the clearer you can get on how you're going to feel in your own body, how your life would be different, how you would engage, will help create that blueprint or roadmap to the end goal. Now we're going to look at the power moon, and this is 2 to 3 days after the new moon. And I first heard about this very special and potent moon phase from Sarah Thomas at the Upper Clarity School of Stone Medicine. Intentionally working with this brief but powerful transition of the moon takes the seed or intention that you set at the new moon and launches it with momentum and maximum potential as the moon continues to wax and midwife that seed or that intention into full expression at the full moon. Capitalizing on this profound energy is like adding a supercharge. This is a great time to lean into ritual or ceremony work, to put action and clarity into what you are setting into motion. This is the moment that you take that dream, goal, desire, healing, or transformation from dream time or the subconscious or the darkness of the moon into form with full potential. Sarah Thomas suggests that this is a great time to activate crystals you are working with around the intention that you set during this new moon. Let's take a look now at the waxing moon. As the moon swells into the full moon, this is a time when everything is being maximized. Your intentions are being nurtured and growing into themselves. Doing things that amplify or build and nurture this process is important during this waxing moon. Remember, you are the conduit of creation and transformation. Spend time weaving and fortifying this new energy into your daily life. As the moon is waxing closer to the full moon, just as if you were preparing for a newborn child, with the same care and intention and attention, infuse your space, your rituals, and your body with the growing energy behind the intention you are bringing into physical form. Pay keen attention to your thoughts and day-to-day actions during this time. We are the physical conduits for change or creation to become a tangible reality. It is important that mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, you hold coherent space aligned with that month's focus or growing seed. You are literally the change and transformation that is happening. The transmutation process happens through the conduit of your body. Treat this time like prayer in motion. Now we're looking at the full moon. This is mid-lunar cycle when the moon is producing maximum light. This is when you look outside your window or go for a walk in the night and you see her big, beautiful, full expression. You can work with this energy of the full moon on the day of the full moon, as well as the day before and the day after. We're really soaking in this energy for about a 3-day period. This is a time of celebration and harnessing the big energy a full moon brings towards the seeds or intentions that we set during that new moon. This is a time for you and your dreams, your goals, and your desires to be fully seen and witnessed. It is a time of expansion and where things are reaching their full maturity. Being fully seen and having that permission to take up space and being fully present in the world. This is full expression. This is a powerful time to lean into ceremony and fully embody the dream, goal, or desire down to every cell in your body. And remember to celebrate. Bring in that full-bodied expression with joy and excitement and acceptance. Make room for it. Create space in your body for this new expression to fully come into being. Okay, now the clearing moon. So now the full moon is past, and this is about 3 to 5 days after the full moon. You can capitalize on this time for big releases in your body, your home, emotionally, or even spiritually. This is really a time after that big celebration, that coming out into full manifestation, where you take a deep breath and you exhale, and anything that is unnecessary or patterns being held that are no longer going to serve you based on this new expression that you set the seed for in the new moon came fully expressed in the full moon, or to at least a fuller expression. Now it's time to proactively let some things go. And this may look like old patterns, old ways of thinking, belief systems that have come up that are outdated, habits, and gently and intentionally letting things go. It's important also to sometimes do this from a place of love and asking and sending gratitude for those things that you are letting go for the place that they did serve when they were able to serve it. This is a process that can be effortless with a sense of personal surrender, as any hooks or attachments that would inhibit the full expression of what you were birthing naturally just fall away. The energy here is primed to let go and clear. Sarah Thomas from the Upper Clarity School of Stone Medicine suggests that this is a great time to clear crystals, especially those that have an affinity to the moon, like selenite, pearl, and moonstone. And now we come to the waning moon. We are getting closer and closer back to where we started at the new moon. This is the last phase. The waning moon is when the moon is getting smaller and headed back to that new or dark moon. This is a time of release, of letting go, banishing, and clearing. As the last tethers of what does not serve you based on that new expression that has been birthed are falling away, notice the new open spaces in your spirit, soul, body, and psyche that can further invite that goal, dream, or desire in. This is creating a little bit more, being aware of creating more space and continuing to relax back those old ways. Something that's important to mention anytime we're letting something go, that there oftentimes will be grief. And no matter how unhelpful or even toxic these things that we're letting go may be for us, there can oftentimes be waves of grief letting go of those old patterns, behaviors, and attachments. We are reconstructing our reality and our identity. This is true inner alchemy. Just be aware that this is a normal part of the waning process, headed into the energies of the next new moon. When you ride these waves of grief, and they do come in waves typically, see if you can find the vein of sweetness brought to you by the new you starting to flow in and make a new home. I want to include a couple journal or contemplation prompts around the process of letting go and around this waning mood. It really is an important part of the full cycle, and one that often gets forgotten or ignored. So the first prompt is what needs to be released or let go as I embody this new version of myself. Are there any habits, unhelpful thought processes, or attachments that need to be attended to or released? And as you embody this new version of yourself, I want you to scan your body from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. And notice if there are any areas that are constricted, tense, or resistant. And we talked about this a little bit before. I want you to connect with those areas and ask the question, what are you afraid of? What is my fear? What is the fear? What do these parts that feel that contraction or that constriction need to feel better or heal? And also, you might even ask, what is it that you need or that part of your body needs because it is holding information? What does it need to be able to release? Oftentimes, it just needs to be witnessed. And in fact, a lot of the time, it just needs to be witnessed or seen and heard. And let that contracted and encapsulated energy or emotion move through, and then it's gone and released. So this is a very, very powerful process. Again, one that's oftentimes ignored on purpose, but I would really encourage you to pay attention to this and dive in and see and just come with curiosity and explore. Again, these prompts are in the download that you can access in the episode notes. This is also a really wonderful time for cleansing rituals or practices. And some of these could be something like salt baths or saunas, going on walks out in nature. Anytime that you are working with releasing or letting significant things go that no longer serve you, be gentle with yourself. This isn't a marathon. Sometimes it comes off in layers. Sometimes it takes years and you just layer it off, layer it off. You're just giving it permission during this time, utilizing the energies of that waning moon to take another layer off, and create just a little bit more space for a more authentic version of yourself that's not so conditioned to come into full presence. Beginning to work with these lunar cycles is a powerful starting point in bringing your dreams, your goals, and your desires into the world and into reality. But it is only one aspect of these ebbs and these flows that we can align with and harness. Each lunar cycle, like I mentioned before, is uniquely flavored and charged by the astrological sign that it's in. We are pulled by the robust movements of the seasons and the effects of the solar cycles. And this is only a few things that we're being influenced by. This is some of the architecture around what we call the sacred calendar. Being aware of these ebbs and flows and how they personally impact you and your family and your kiddos gives a framework to align, harness, and engage in a uniquely potent way. If you would like to learn more about each month's important influences in a simple, straightforward, non-woo-woo, easy to understand kind of way, please look for the link in the episode notes for Inner Compass. You can always visit the website at www.thereframe.net as well. I hope this was helpful, and if you would like a free, easy-to-use reference guide that has all of the journal prompts, everything you need from this episode to print off or just to download, make sure you find that in the episode notes as well. And as always, I would love to hear from each and every one of you. Please visit us on our social, YouTube, and anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. Until next time, be well. Again, welcome to Season 2, and it would mean a lot if you leave a review, share on your social media, or with someone you know that would benefit from hearing or watching this. It helps to bring this content out to more people that need to hear it the most. As Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home. Until we meet again, may your journey be wondrous, awe-inspiring, healing, and truly delicious.